Test. Test one.
Testing. Back today? Yeah, their work day today. Yeah. So the teachers aren't here. We were hoping they would be here. All right, Mary, you tell me I've got one more minute?
Yeah, if you need an extra minute, we can do that.
Okay.
Roxanne isn't even here yet, and she's like fifth speaker. So
Okay.
I think that might be COVID between us coming in.
Okay. All right.
I don't think so.
Oh, they're lining up. Hey, you guys, can you come line up on this side instead of that side because the sound is there? Yeah. Are we? Go speakers unmasked when they speak? No, don't take your mask off. Hey, you're up from.
I can do fine.
Everybody's self-introducing. They're just going to trade off.
That new information needed to take.
Yeah, the small poster should be the new information.
Thank you.
All right. Ready, Mary?
I got to ask them to come over to the other side.
Yeah, if they want to come over here. It was in my bag. It was in my pocket. In my pocket. Thank you, thank you. All right, we ready? Okay.
What I usually do is ask them, whole camera people raise their hand when they're ready.
Okay. When y'all are ready, just raise your hand and I'll get started. Wait, no, one more. Just wait on me. He's ready? Okay. All right. Hello. My name is Kelly Page, and I'm a parent of 2 Rockingham County students. I'm a former teacher and a graduate of Reedsville Senior High School. I support reinstating Dr. Shotwell. These are powerful words that have been shared from a friend. This is a horrible miscarriage of fairness to the students of Rockingham County. The target was Dr. Shotwell, but the students are the collateral damage in their wanton, a reckless decision. I'm going to be reading this letter in its entirety. It was sent to all board members on December the 17th from Brittany Beasley. Good morning, board members. My name is Brittany Beasley, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at Wentworth Elementary. I'm also currently Teacher of the Year for Rockingham County Schools. Some of you may not know me, as I do not believe I have seen you visit my school to see all the amazing things going on, even while teaching during a pandemic. I have taught in Rockingham County schools for 9 years. Excuse me, I'm losing my mask. For 9 years, and I'm a graduate of the Rockingham County schools myself. I am emailing you this morning to express my concern as an employee over the decision to terminate Dr. Shotwell's contract from Monday night. It has taken me a few days to get my thoughts together in order to adequately express my concern. When I had my top 5 interview for Teacher of the Year with members of our central office, I was asked to prepare a presentation or speech explaining why I teach specifically and why I chose to teach in Rockingham County. I am quoting my speech below for you to read. I teach in Rockingham County schools because it is not only supported to try new, innovative strategies and to be creative in how I teach my students, but it is also encouraged. We are provided with an abundance of resources, technology, and professional learning that make it possible to grow as educators. I love that my district challenges us to be the best for our students and that we stay ahead of trends in education. In addition, my colleagues are supportive, knowledgeable, and push me to improve in my craft, as I learn so much from their expertise and willingness to help. I also teach in Rockingham County schools because this district understands that students are first and recognize that we need to reach the whole child. Students' social and emotional health is important to district leaders, administration, and teachers, and they understand that education encompasses more than academic growth. Those reasons I have stated are to why I and many others choose to teach in Rockingham County. We are directly tied to policies and practices that Dr. Shotwell and his team of district leaders have put into place. To be a more rural district, we are mighty. It is expected that we not do only our best for kids to teach at a high quality and serve students the best that we can. Dr. Shotwell has created a culture and expectation that we strive to be the best. Not only that, but we are to be a family. When he visits our school, which is often, he asks my teammates how her children are. That is a simple thing, but it is very special. You don't get that from many leaders. Dr. Shotwell is here for education. He isn't here for show or to appease, but to truly understand what is best for kids. My husband is also a teacher in our district. He spent 7 years teaching in neighboring county. Our district is years ahead of this neighboring county in technology, social, and emotional training, and educating students as a whole child. Again, this is due to Dr. Shotwell and his team's leadership, and it is ultimately why my husband left a school he loved and was comfortable in to teach in our district. I am concerned that this decision was not made in the best interest of the students. Is that what we are all here for? But was motivated by something more personal or political. Our kids don't deserve that. They have been through enough. Our staff doesn't deserve that. We have been through enough. To strip us of our leader in the middle of a pandemic school year was not the right decision. It has been my honor to work for Dr. Shotwell, and I hope in some way this can be made right. I also hope that we get some reasoning as to why this happened and happened now during this uncertain time. Mrs. McMichael, Mrs. Rakestraw, and Mrs. McKinney, I thank you for your vote to give us some consistency through this challenging time in education, and for always thinking about our students and our teachers. I know that you three see how hard we work each day and how great our district truly is. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. At this time, January the 4th, only Mrs. McMichael and Mrs. Rakestraw have replied to Brittany's letter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caroline Page, and I'm a student at Rockingham County High School. This is a letter from a teacher there. When I first started my career as an educator in Rockingham County, I made it a priority to ask fellow employees how they felt about working for Rockingham County Schools. When I think back on those conversations, I struggle to recall a single person who expressed dissatisfaction with the operations, leadership, or direction of Rockingham County Schools. When I look at our current state, those comments and feelings no longer seem applicable, and our school system has become quite unrecognizable. What was once a beacon of hope, equity, and equality has become riddled with politicians, lies, and mistrust. When I look back at the amount that Dr. Rodney Shotwell has done for the students in Rockingham County, I cannot help but draw comparison to the way he treated me as a young educator. In my first semester of teaching, I ran into Dr. Shotwell at a swim meet that he was attending, and he greeted me by name and asked me how my first semester was going. He recalled similar struggles that he encountered and talked to me not as a measly first-year teacher, but as a valued educator. He offered me support and guidance in ways that I have never received from the 4 board members that are bound and determined to use their elected official status to intentionally hurt the students of Rockingham County Schools by terminating the contract of Dr. Shotwell. Dr. Shotwell has served the students of Rockingham County faithfully for almost 15 years, and as a current teacher and previous student within the school system, I can attest to his willingness to put students' needs first. I cannot count the instances where Dr. Shotwell has gone against the desires of the masses to put the education of our students first. Our current situation leaves us with a board who is putting their personal and political agendas miles ahead of those that benefit the students, parents, and families of Rockingham County. The Rockingham County School Board has made a dire mistake, and sadly, our kids will pay the consequences. The basis and reasoning provided for terminating the contract of Dr. Shotwell was unjust, unresearched, and unfounded, as Dr. Shotwell has presented no reason for the school board to initiate the termination of his contract. And on a more personal note, there are far more in Rockingham County that support his leadership in comparison to the loud minority who oppose. Today, I ask those 4 board members who motioned to terminate Dr. Shotwell's contract as the Rockingham County Superintendent to step forward and acknowledge their mistake, do right by Rockingham County families, and offer a humble apology for the heartache and distrust created as a result of their selfish actions. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Wood. I'm a junior at Rockingham County, and I will be reading a letter received from a concerned parent that has 2 children in Rockingham County Schools. Dear school board members, I'm writing this letter in regard to the firing of Dr. Shotwell. The timing of his dismissal is not serving the best needs of the students in Rockingham County Schools. I have 2 children in the school in this county, and they have had the mostly great experiences in their school careers thus far. The few times I have had any troubles and felt the need to reach out to the superintendent, I was pleasantly surprised to receive a timely, personal response from Dr. Shotwell. I felt heard, and he worked with me and my children's teachers to come up with a compromise that had the best interests of my children as the outcome. He has been an advocate for the schools in finding a grant funding for programs that are the best of our students. He has helped the IB program find funding in order to grow numbers and equity. He has helped find funding to help feed students in the neediest schools. He was instrumental in restructuring the AIG program to include instructional coaches, which allowed my children to increase their AIG services from 1 day a week to 4 days a week. While I do not agree with your decision to dismiss Dr. Shotwell, if you had a reason to do so, why now? What are your reasons? How will we find similarly qualified candidate during a pandemic? How will we ensure that our students, many who are struggling to have a semi-successful academic year, have a leader who will do what it takes to help these students make up for much of what they have already missed, both academically, socially, and emotionally? What our students need from all of us is stability. Removing Dr. Shotwell during this time of instability is rash. You are elected officials. The people that voted for you deserve answers as to why you acted in this way and how you can explain that this is in the best interest of the students of Rockingham County Schools. You were voted into office with the assumption that you had the best interests of the students in mind when you voted on policy. I am in District 1, and I was voting for a candidate that I thought would be an advocate for the city schools and for the students of Rockingham County. This is not what I expected to happen, and when I voted in the last election, and I certainly will be asking different questions at the next election. Politics should not overshadow the education and emotional wellness of students of our county. Thank you.
Really? We're in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a school year, in the middle of a contract that will have to be paid out. Why are we disrupting our students' education and safety now? I'm Ann Brady, retired educator. I served as school psychologist, director of student services, and director of special education during my 38 years with the local school systems. I worked with 10 different superintendents. I know an effective leader, an effective superintendent, and Dr. Shotwell has been effective for our schools. I'm speaking both on behalf of the Rockingham County Democratic Party and for myself. The actions of the current Board of Education are unconscionable. I thank Kimberly McMichael, Paula Rakestraw, and Vicki McKinney for their votes in favor of keeping Dr. Shotwell. If, in fact, there was a good reason to let Dr. Shotwell go, I know these three ladies well enough to know that they would have voted as such. The actions of the other 4 board members are irresponsible. They want to force their agenda no matter the consequences. They want illegal prayers and meetings and to stop board and staff trainings that could help better serve our children. How are these goals more important than the lives and education of children entrusted to their care? And how are they worth wasting more than $300,000? I'm an avid public school supporter. We already have commissioners who advocate for school choice, meaning non-public school options. We certainly do not need our Board of Education pushing for new directions during a pandemic. I'm worried that their new directions will direct our public schools away from providing effective education to all students, including those from diverse backgrounds and those with disabilities. Elected officials should be accountable to their public and not act in rogue and impulsive ways to the detriment of the students and staff that they ran to support and help. I'm particularly disappointed in Vicki Austin, who never even gave Dr. Shotwell a chance. Vicki, you are not acting like the wonderful teacher I knew and worked with who cared about children. What happened to you? In summary, the local Democratic Party and I ask the board to work to benefit students, not their own agenda. They should start by reinstating Dr. Shotwell and then working with him to make our schools even better than they are now. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Roxanne Griffin, Chair of the Rockingham County Democratic Party, and we want you to know that our CDP vehemently denounces the recent action of our four members of the Rockingham County Board of Education regarding the termination of the contract of Dr. Rodney Shotwell, Superintendent. We believe there are several points which need to be addressed by the assenting members. Primarily, why? In North Carolina, it is rare to have a superintendent serve for 15 years in the same district. But term after term, though boards of education have changed in gender, racial, and partisan makeup, each board has renewed his contract. This would seem to indicate a general approval of performance. Indeed, he was awarded Superintendent of the Year in 2015 for good reason. With our county, state, and country in the midst of a pandemic, is this the appropriate time to dismiss the knowledge and expertise of someone proven capable of leading during this time of instability? Dr. Shotwell's contract was due to expire in 2022. Without legal cause to break the contract, the taxpayers of this county are going to be on the hook for about $300,000. That's money our students, teachers, staff, and building maintenance won't have to work with? Where is the fiscal responsibility in throwing away resources we so desperately need? I would be remiss not to take this opportunity to point out why Doug Isley, Brent Huss, Bob Wyatt, and the newly installed Vicki Alston might feel they have a mandate to behave in such a cavalier manner. Back in 2015, Burt Jones, Republican, then North Carolina House Representative from District 65, that's us, sponsored House Bill 189, which changed the diverse nature of our Board of Education. Ostensibly proposed as a cost-cutting measure, which is laughable since Board of Education members are not paid a salary and receive only a stipend for expenses. The board was cut from 11 members to 7. In reality, what this did was consolidate the conservative vote by reducing the number of conservative candidates running for board. An example is the difference between the 2014 at-large race with 18 candidates and the 2018 race with only 6. Since that bill's passage, we have seen less and less diversity on our Board of Education. But redistricting wasn't the only reason. HB 189 also changed the race from nonpartisan to partisan. The simple act of putting an R or a D beside the name on a ballot meant people who had previously abstained from voting because they didn't know anything about the character or experience of a candidate are now voting for people based on political affiliation alone. The effect is startling. A comparison between 2012 and the 2016 district races and the 2014 and 2018 at-large races shows a difference of 10% in the number of voters casting ballots in those races. But even worse, voters who vote for qualified candidates are no longer given a choice, because it takes a rare individual to put their heads in the meat grinder of partisan politics, when the prospect of running could put their day job at risk, and the likelihood of winning is minuscule. This is how we have come to have an all-white, all-Republican board, and this is how students have become a political football. This is not a game. I urge all of you to continue to observe the workings of the Board of Education, to be relentless in your attention, and to speak up for your children and the future of the economic world of our community. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Ophelia Wright, a retired teacher and a former school board member from the Rockingham County school system. Did I hear somebody ask me what are the duties of a board member? I'm glad you asked. Hire the superintendent, make decisions based on district policies, along with participating in periodic reviews of policies and goals, seek or attend workshop seminars on a wide range of topics to enable sound decisions, listen to concerned citizens as the need arises, and direct them to the proper district employee for resolution of problems. The Rockingham County School Board is like a box of chocolate. As Forrest Gump's mom told him, life is like a box of chocolate. We learned on December 14th, 2020, that we didn't have in our 7 school board members what we thought we had, a box of chocolate. Just like a box of chocolate, little did we know what December 14th would bring to our school board. In fact, it appeared there was a hidden agenda fulfilled in the midnight hour by board member Doug Isley, Vicki Alston, Brent Huss, and Bob Wyatt, as they voted to terminate Dr. Shotwell. In contacting all 7 of the school board members, only 4 had the fortitude to return or receive phone calls from me, a citizen, a constituent of Brent Huss, Bob Isley, and all the rest. I want you to know that our school board is like a box of chocolate. We didn't know what we were going to get until we opened it up. My phone calls started at 3:59 and lasted to 4:02. 4 of the board members returned calls, but the ones who didn't return calls had a hidden agenda. I'd like to thank Kimberly McMichael, Paula Rakestraw, and Vicki McKinney as they voted to not disrupt the lives of our most important resource, our children, especially in the middle of a pandemic and at Christmas break. Even if you saw the need for terminating our superintendent, Dr. Rodney Shotwell, the timing was not right. As I remember your discussions as I sat on the board, you discussed saving the county money. What you're doing now is a waste of the taxpayers' money. Thousands of dollars that we could keep or save if you would just wait out his contract. As a former teacher, uncertainty for our students is within our teachers now because of COVID-19. Whether we will re-enter our classrooms in a safe and healthy manner leads me to ask you to see our students, teachers, and employees through the pandemic before we end the contract of one of North Carolina's most valued and experienced leaders, Dr. Rodney Shotwell. In closing, I would like to address you with the following questions. Do you have the money in the budget to pay according to his contract? Are you capable of making a sound decision that is not on your hidden agenda? Will you listen and confer with your constituents, including me, who is contacting you? To be continued, January the 11th at 6 o'clock in a place to be named soon. Thank you.
Good evening. I am the Reverend Dr. Clarence Johnson, the president of the Reesville Ministerial Alliance. I have come today to give my remarks on Dr. Shotwell. The Ministerial Alliance represent many churches here in Reesville, and oftentimes our members come to us with questions. And one of the questions is, why was Dr. Shotwell fired? because they seem to suggest that it is senseless to remove our superintendent after he is doing a great job. And so we want to lend our support as the Ministerial Alliance of Reedsville and vicinity to this effort to get our school board to reinstate Dr. Shotwell as our superintendent. Since he has been in Reedsville, he has been a very innovative superintendent. He has brought new programs to our city for our students to graduate, and we're just thankful to the job that he has done. So the clergy of Reedsville support this effort of bringing Dr. Shotwell back as the superintendent of our school. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. L. Denise White, Vice President of the Rockingham County branch of the NAACP, and I am a proud product of the Rockingham County public school system. While COVID-19 wreaks havoc on our communities with over 6,000 deaths in North Carolina, hospitals overflowing, job losses in the thousands, this renegade board had nothing better to do than to sneak into closed session with two newly elected members and vote to end the contract of Superintendent Dr. Rodney Shotwell with no just cause, or not one they're willing to share at this time. This year alone, this board also voted to cut the public information officer position to part-time, and they orchestrated the resignation of the board attorney who provided 28 years of service to Rockingham County. Some board members even campaigned on the promise to get rid of Dr. Shotwell, while others campaigned on fiscal responsibility. Well, those same board members are upset about spending $60,000 that provided training for school board members, yet they voted to spend in excess of $300,000 to terminate the superintendent's contract. This same board also voted to return grant funds of over $35,000 to the Reedsville Area Foundation to avoid state-mandated equity training. Let me say that again, state-mandated equity training, where almost 40% of the students are non-white. As our children, our teachers, and parents are suffering through the challenges of virtual learning, this board also voted to start school in January, while also plotting the demise of the superintendent. Let that sink in. While the NAACP does not agree with the decision to fire Dr. Shotwell, these decisions made by the majority of Rockingham County School Board members present a much deeper and darker picture, a picture that should concern the citizens of Rockingham County. Who will lead this effort to safely plan and implement the return of students to in-school learning in January? Where do we get $300,000 to buy Shotwell's contract out and replace him? And what does that say for the next superintendent or the next educator who manages to get in the crossfire of this board? Lastly, what message is Rockingham County sending to those who may want to promote economic development within our borders or open new businesses here? The school system and management thereof is often the first thing they look at. Our children deserve better. The teachers and staff who greet them every day deserve better. Taxpayers deserve better. All of Rockingham County deserves a school board that is accountable, transparent, and responsible. This board should be thoroughly investigated regarding possible policy violations, racist posts by board members on social media that date back several years. You know, you can't erase everything on Facebook. And so many other decisions made by this board without care or concern for the children we owe so much more to. The Rockingham County branch of the NAACP pledges to leave no stone unturned and follow up on our findings expeditiously. We also invite and encourage every one of you to contact your school board members to make them aware that there are repercussions and consequences to their callous, impulsive, and personal agenda-driven decisions. Their contact information can be found at www.rock.k12.nc.us. Thank you so much for your attendance today. This concludes our press conference.